Guys, sorry it's been so long. I was taking a much needed break. Went camping with my family in Florida. That was fun. One might question my sanity for taking my wife and kids to Florida in July to go camping, but it actually was a blast. It turned out to be a really good experience, so that was good. This video, I just want to share a little bit about my experience going from civilian to Army life. It's just a little bit different. I wish I would have watched some more videos about that, some more information. But before I do that, I wanted to address something. I've received several requests to give detailed counts of selection and RASP. I'm not going to do that, because when I went through selection and when I went through RAS, they had me sign some paperwork saying that I wouldn't go and talk about the details of the course. The reason they do that is just so people don't try to game the system. I'm not really sure that you can game it that well. But it's unnecessary, even if you could. I don't know, like, just knowing your schedule doesn't really help that much. It helps maybe your peace of mind a little bit, knowing what to expect. But you'll be getting some of that anyways from recycles or people who've done it before in either course. So it's really, in my opinion, it's unnecessary. I agree with how they do that. So I'm not going to be just going out giving specifics. You can find plenty of information online about the general scheduling and just what you'll be doing, so you can get yourself mentally and physically prepared. You don't need like a day-to-day play-by-play of what happens. So I apologize if that's not what you wanted. Well, I don't really apologize, because that's what I'm going to do. So not trying to be rude. I just don't really see a point in it. But I'll try and be as helpful as I can to make sure, if there's something that you want to know more about, I'll try and, I can talk more about land nav, my experience with land nav or whatever. But just giving details of both courses to me is unnecessary, and it kind of goes against what I said I wouldn't do. So there's my disclosure. So my experience going from civilian to infantry OSUT was interesting. I know MEPS was a nightmare. There's so much that I did not expect. You already start getting treated very strictly and, in my opinion, poorly there. And then it's just going to compound from then on out. But I believe, if I remember right, we in-processed the paperwork the first day. We spent the night in a hotel, and then we shipped out the following day. I believe that was how it worked. It's been a while. I don't really remember that well, but so that was interesting, because I remember the first day when I was trying to in-process and do all my paperwork. There's something that didn't get sent, or some paperwork that wasn't signed properly, and I had to call my recruiter. I thought he was going to have to come pick me up, and I was going to go home and would have to come try this again. And it was a mess. It felt like a mess, but everything worked out. I shipped out the next day. And then something happened that I wasn't preparing for. Mentally, I was preparing for selection. I was preparing for basic training. I was not prepared for the transition unit from MEPS to, I believe it was called 30th AG in Fort Benning. Anyone who's been through, I think it's for all 11 and 18 series. I don't know if there's any other MOSs that go through Benning's 30th AG, but it was rough. You go in, you get all your stuff. I was told I'd be there like 2-3 days, and then I'd be moved in with the next basic training class. I was there for 12 days, and it was just like never ending. It was so boring, monotonous, just standing around formations. It was just a lot of silliness and just stuff that I wasn't expecting. I got a phone call the first day, and I just remember sitting there on my little flip phone calling my wife. We were like so excited to talk to each other, even though it had been like less than 24 hours since I talked to her. And then I had to put my phone in a Ziploc baggie and turn it into like my civilian backpack that I had all my stuff in, and I wasn't going to be able to touch it until at some point basic or the end of OSUT. I think the next time I touched it was Thanksgiving, actually. They let us have phone calls in OSUT on Thanksgiving. But anyways, yeah, that was an interesting experience. An important note: go to basic training somewhat physically fit, be able to pass a run, do some push-ups. Don't go to basic thinking basic's just going to give you in shape, because I know recruiters that will tell people, don't worry about your physical fitness, basic will get you in shape. There were guys that took that advice and in 30th AG couldn't pass the run. I don't remember what the run time was. I don't know that it might have been the minimum for Army. I'm not sure that it was, which I think the Army's minimum is like a little under 14 minutes. No. Is that 14 minutes for 2 miles? I'm not sure. But anyways, the guys wouldn't be able to pass the run that they would do there, and they'd be sent off to fat camp, is what everybody called it. I don't know, it's just basically a place where they worked you out and put you on certain rations, like for a week or two. I don't remember how long, and then you couldn't leave there until you were ready. And there was guys there, veterans of 30th AG, that had been there for weeks and for like a couple months. I know one guy was there for like 2 months or something. It was crazy. So yeah, go there, spend the extra few weeks making sure that you are physically fit if you're not there, just to pass a run, do some push-ups. I think it was a full PT test. I don't remember. That you do there before you class up into your basic class, whatever basic class that cycles up next. Another thing, especially if you're an 11 X-ray, if you're an 18 X-ray, you will go through 11 Bravo, of course. If you're an 11 X-ray, just understand that and I mentioned this before, but you could be 11 Charlie or 11 Bravo. I say that because a lot of people want to be 11 Bravo, which is a rifleman. A lot of people civilians join wanting to be a rifleman, and they get there, and what happens is they'll section off, like, I believe it's just kind of random. They just section off a group of guys. They need so many people to be mortarmen, which is 11 Charlie, and so they'll move them over to do that. And the basic, from what I understand, of course I didn't go through it, but the basic is similar. They just add on a couple extra weeks to learn how to do, how to use mortars. I can't confirm or deny that, because again, I didn't go through it, but that's just what I've been told by 11 Charlies. They pretty much go through the same basic OSUT. It's just they add on a few weeks for mortar training. So yeah, just know that that's a risk that you're taking. If you don't want to be an 11 Charlie, you could be forced to become one. So I always like to say that because a lot of people don't know that. I know the guys were freaking out when we got there and we found out that some of these 11 Bravos or 11 X-rays found out that they could become 11 Charlies. Guys were freaking out, and they were like, if I get 11 Charlie, I'm just gonna quit now. It was madness. So yeah, just mentally prepare yourself for that if you are wanting to be a rifleman and not a mortarman. So yeah, 12 days in purgatory there. I'm pretty sure it's 30th AG. That sounds right. If not, I'm sure you guys will correct me. But we get a couple drill sergeants come over on our finally on our day to class up or move up to basic training, and they're kind of ragging on us. They gave us a quick class on like what to do if somebody. I swear they gave us a class on what to do if somebody got shot. Like just a quick medical class, and then that was it. Like half of us couldn't even see because we're standing in formation. Oh, putting a guy on a stretcher. I think that's what it was. It was weird. It was kind of random because we all lined up in our bags. They like did this quick little class out of nowhere, and then they yelled at us all to start marching. A couple of us got on a bus, and then I think some of them marched to wherever they were going. But the bus was weird because they just like drove us around in circles. It wasn't even that far, but it took like 15-20 minutes, I swear, to get to where we were going to be at. And then that's when the shark attack happened. That was actually pretty cool. That was a pretty cool experience. They threw smoke grenades like right when the buses were coming up. So you're running out of the bus in smoke. Drill sergeants, they're screaming at you. There was simulated machine gun fire sounds going off. And it was neat. I mean, they kind of smoked you a little bit, told you hold your bags over your heads, threw bags in a pile, told you to get on, just stuff to kind of wear you out, let you know who's boss, and just kind of, I guess, get a first impression on some of the guys, maybe, I don't know. But anyways, it's a cool tradition, and and then OSUT started. I think the hardest thing about OSUT was the being away from my family, not being able to contact them except for letters. It took forever for me to get letters. Guys were getting letters like within a few weeks. I swear it was like I was almost from. So there's red, white, and blue phase in the basic. I think I was almost to white phase by the time I got my first letters. But that's just the mail system there. There's so much mail coming in and out. It's iffy. Sometimes I'd get letters from people who'd sent it way later than other people, so you just kind of have to grin and bear it. But yeah, that was the hardest for me, just being away from my wife and kids. But overall, I mean, it's not bad. Especially if you're older, it can be kind of crappy to be treated like a child. You're just, you have there's no confidence. You're handled like a baby, basically, like you know nothing. So when you're older, have a little more real life experience before going to that's especially frustrating. But yeah, that was my civilian to MEPS and 30th AG experience. It was different, but it was good. So I learned a lot about myself, and it kind of prepared me, had a good transition between civilian life to like selection and RASH, the things that are kind of a little bit more big boy, but still Army. So